Hey, can you guys see that fog in the background? This is going to be a perfect night for a ghost tour. Karen and I are on the Fredericksburg, Texas ghost walk, and it is a perfect night for that. So I pan the camera around here. You can see it's kind of a overcast, dreary, foggy night. So we are going to see if we can find a ghost.
Hey everybody, I will be leading your tour tonight if you haven't guessed already. My name is Tristan. If at any point you forget my name, hey, I'm wearing a fun hat. You can just call me Kid in a Hat. I'll respond to that pretty well. I've been doing this a while. Most people just call me Kid. So if at any point y'all want to ask me about anything, I know I look 14, I'm 23, so I can't answer questions about wineries and breweries. So please do, I love talking about it. This is a major highway. Things get pretty loud here. There's an 18-wheelers, motorcycle gangs, bachelorette parties. I usually can't compete with them, so if at any point something gets really loud, you'll see me just get quiet. I'm not having a stroke, I just don't want to shred my voice. I have to teach tomorrow morning, so listen guys, I gotta maintain it. On my version of the tour, I will only tell you a story if it either A, I believe in it entirely, or B, it actually happened in history. It actually happened in history, and the reason I do that is because I don't want y'all to go home and Google something I said and it not be true, and y'all leave a mean Facebook review and you're like, that kid lied to us, what a waste of time. Because then my feelings will get hurt, guys. I'm a sensitive dude. I can't handle that pressure. This is, hey look, the Nimitz Hotel. Oh my God, I can't believe it. How magnificent. What a hotel. So truly, this was the talk of the town. Thank you. The talk of the town for many years. This hotel really kind of served as a big stopping point. When you look at the timeline that we're in, this is around the gold rush era. So everybody was heading west to California. We were really the last stop from about here to El Paso. So even back then in our founding, we were very much a tourist town. We were a stopping point from our very beginning. I'm looking at these three windows on the Nimitz. The one up top on the side is lit up. The one in the middle has kind of the half shade shut. The lights are a little bit dimmed, and then the one on the bottom's blinds are shut. I'm talking about the one in the middle. What we see here often is a full figure standing in this window looking out. Now, here's what we believe it to be. We believe it to be a general from Fort McCabe. Now, the reason why is back in the early days of the Nimitz, there was a general traveling in from Fort McCabe, and he stayed at the Nimitz because he could have either stayed here at the Fort in Mason. Naturally, he chose to stay here. Why would you want to stay at a fort in the 1800s? So he stayed here, and same thing happens. He passes away in his sleep. When he passes away, Fort McCabe asks Nimitz to ship the body back up to them so that he can be buried on the fort. And by then, he's like, okay, great, I'm not going to smoke him. He's learned about salt. So he takes a barrel, puts his body in there, fills it with salt, but then he runs out of salt. And so he's just like, water. Fills the rest with water. I don't know if any of y'all have ever made a brine. Central ingredients to a brine. So they put the lid on the barrel, they put it on the back of a wagon, and starts bouncing to San Antonio. It's the middle of August. San Antonio's like an hour drive now. I can't imagine it was an hour drive then. So it's bouncing its way to San Antonio. By the time it gets there, they inspect the contents, they open up the barrel, and it's truly a soup. I mean, there was no body in there. It had completely decomposed in the heat and the salt water to the point where there's just bones floating. So they're livid. They send a hired hand down here to come kill Charles Nimitz. You gotta ride the wave. So they send a hired hand. Charles Nimitz floods to Mason this time, hides out until he knows it's safe. So whenever we see this figure up here, we associate it with the general, because if you were to take a GPS line and shoot it straight out of that window, you're going to hit where Fort McCabe was. Now the reason we believe it to be a spirit, not just a person standing there, is in front of that window, there's one of those ledges that would like sit in the window that you'd like sit on and like read.
Cars on the windows.
Hey, I want to guess which one's the jail? Doesn't it look like a 4th grader drew a jail from memory? If you were to ask a toddler, hey, draw a jail, this is what you get. So, as a brief jail history of Fredericksburg, Fredericksburg has had 5 jails. Our first jail got burnt down. There's not really a story. Our second jail got burnt down. There is a story. So the second jail was right where this gazebo was. And what happened was there was a prisoner in the jail that the locals really wanted. Apparently he was just like a bad guy. And so the locals went over to the jail. And they asked very politely, not like a mob, but like a mob. They went over and they said, hey, give us that prisoner. And the guard said, that's not how a jail works. And they were like, cool. And then they just burnt the jail down. Ain't that like a bunch of angry Germans? And so the third jail was right here. This is our third jail. Our 4th jail is right behind us. Most of it's underground. Our 5th jail is out on 290 over by all the wineries. So don't y'all drink and drive, guys. They put it there for a reason. I'm telling you, they were thinking ahead. So I'm going to be focusing on the 3rd jail. The 3rd jail is unusual for a lot of reasons. So India stays in for the first couple nights, and when she says the first night, she hears it. She describes it as if you took a sheet of metal and like shook it, you know, that kind of like warp sound you'd hear. She describes it like that, and she says it's reverberating through the walls. So India owns other properties in town, and she's like, it's an AC problem. So she's looking at all the vents, trying to figure out what to fix. She can't figure out really where it's isolated, so she goes outside. She's like, it's got to be the outside unit. She walks outside, and she realizes it's coming from the jail. It's not coming from her B&B. And so she goes through the gate of the jail. She's looking around, trying to isolate out where it's coming from. She finally points it out at the back right corner of that jail. She goes over and she describes it like somebody had a subwoofer on the other side, just blaring bass. It was that like reverberating. And she was freaking out. She packed up, she left. She wanted nothing to do with that. And they're like, hey, he's got some journals that he kept, you know, we have those. And so she goes up, she starts reading the journals. She's able to identify that she definitely worked here because this was the only jail with 2 stories. Everything else was 1 story for the longest time. So she was able to be like, okay, we can put him in here. And as she's reading the story, she comes across one story where he writes that he had to break up a fight upstairs. There were 2 prisoners fighting. He brought one of them downstairs and put him in that back right cell. And then he writes that he had to leave for whatever reason, and when he came back, that guy was dead. And he words it like, well, somebody got him, or something like ambiguous like that. So we know something sinister happened in that back right corner, but we really don't know what for sure. Nice to get in here. You can either go through here, or you can go under this rail. So if you're built like a pencil, you can go through there. Otherwise, you gotta go through the rail. You can just walk around, you can look at all the windows and everything. Hanging out here. Oh, did you go through? That's the wrong end. This way.
Go check the door, Karen. We won't tell anybody. Shh. We'll keep it a secret. Oh yeah, somebody's got a light in there, so it lights it all up.
Oh, she does.
No, that's great. No, it lights it up. No, that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
No, that's a good thing. Although we didn't find any ghosts on this ghost tour, and truth be told, I really wasn't expecting to find one anyways. However, one really neat thing about ghost tours, whether it's in Fredericksburg, Texas, New Orleans, San Francisco, New York, or wherever, one really neat thing about ghost tours is that it really provides a unique history about the location where you're at. Anyways, we're going to leave you now with some of our favorite photographs and videos from this tour. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing to Blue Line RV Adventures. It's totally free, doesn't cost you any money, and it really helps Karen and I continue on with our journey. Enjoy.